Go ahead.
Good morning and welcome to the Daily Huddle. Today's your Friday. The Daily Huddle is the place where entrepreneurs gather to light up their path to success. And today I want to start with a powerful thought from one of my mentors, Joy Gums. And Joy says, operations keeps the lights on. Strategy provides a light at the end of the tunnel. But project management is the train engine that moves the organization forward. And just like a train engine propels its cars, today's episode will drive your business forward. We're diving deep into how, despite limited time and expertise, you can still lead your team to triumph and your projects to succeed. So come on board and let's embark on this journey together. Welcome to the Daily Huddle. Again, my guest is Sabine Apollon. Sabine is a trailblazer in project management and commercial real estate. Before we dive into our conversation with her, I want you to take a moment to watch her intro video. Her innovative approach and commitment to excellence have redefined industry standards, making her a sought-after expert in this field. This video will give you a glimpse into her expertise and the impactful work she's doing, setting the stage for the invaluable insights that she will be sharing with us today. So feast your eyes on my dear friend, Sabine Apollon.
Have you ever found yourself embarking on a new construction or renovation project, only to feel overwhelmed by the lack of expertise and time to manage it effectively? The solution you've been seeking is right here. I am Sabine Apollon, the founder and CEO of Enibas Consulting, with over 2 decades of experience in design, construction, and commercial real estate. I'm your dedicated partner in success. I'll assist you in identifying and navigating the intricate details of your project, dealing with local jurisdictions, coordinating with general contractors and subcontractors, even managing schedules and budgets. It all can become daunting and time-consuming. At Enibas Consulting, we specialize in making projects, small or complex, manageable and stress-free. We act as your advocates throughout the entire process, safeguarding both your financial and personal interests. Helping you deliver your perfect project is our top priority. Together, we will bring your vision to life.
Oh, yes, Sabine Apollon is a superstar. Good morning, Sabine, and welcome to the Daily Huddle.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. Thank you. That was a very warm welcome. Thank you.
Oh my God, sometimes you sit inside of a welcome like that, you might say to yourself, is that me?
Seriously.
It is you. and I'm so excited, so proud, and so touched and moved by what you have been creating. And I can't wait for you to share a bit of your journey with our listeners. Well, so here you are today. And I know you have your journey takes you from corporate America to here.
Mm-hmm.
Would you take a moment and share a bit of that journey with us? From
Wow.
then to here.
Wow. My journey is over many, many decades, and I won't tell you the number of decades
I'm
other
still
than
trying to trick you into that,
I know, but you're not getting me there. No. Just many. It's over many continents. So Caribbean to New York to New Jersey, back to New York to Atlanta. From design community to in-house corporate entities to design build to corporate again to real estate and now to entrepreneur. So I have worked for top design firms in New York. I have worked for name brand corporate top Fortune 500 companies such as Time Warner in New York, Rockefeller Center. I've worked for um, Coca-Cola as clients. I have worked for Microsoft. I have worked, the gamut, right?
again.
The gamut in the real
Now,
estate.
tell me this, right? Given all of this, right? Microsoft, Coca-Cola, TKE, if people go to Consulting.com, they will see the plethora of stellar Fortune 100 companies that you've worked for. I mean, given your renown and your cachet, so to speak, in the world of construction project management, what spurred you on to take on entrepreneurship?
That's a loaded question. Being in the industry for so long, I don't want to say burnt out. I want to say that I wanted to do something different.
Mm,
I wanted to do something different. I enjoyed my clients. I enjoyed being impactful. Um, but I wanted to do something different, meaning doing it for myself instead of doing it for a company.
I got
And
that.
um, so being that person doing it for a company has been always what I've been doing for 30 plus years. I just felt like it was time for me to do something different.
Yeah,
And it's
you know,
fulfilling, and it's quite
yeah.
fulfilling.
Oh, believe me, I've been an entrepreneur myself since 2003, and it is fulfilling. The ups and downs are worth it. Yeah.
Leap of faith, I have to say, it's a leap of faith.
Yeah.
And there are mornings I'm like, am
Yeah.
I really doing this?
Uh, do me a favor, Sabine. Would you scoot back a little bit from
Sure,
your camera?
absolutely.
That way I
Yeah,
can see your entire torso. There you are. So,
sure.
given that, I wanted you to tell us a bit about your journey, so the entrepreneurs who are listening can relate to that. Uh, the journey from employee to entrepreneur is a treacherous one, and you have taken that journey and you've done so successfully. Uh, your experience and your expertise, I wanted them to get in touch with that. So, given your experience and expertise, and given that we're speaking to entrepreneurs, if you were going to say to the listeners, here are some lessons or some best practices from the world of construction project management, that when you take them into account and apply them into your business, it will be that train that drives your business forward toward your vision. What do you want to say to us?
Planning, planning, planning.
Realtors love to say location, location, locations. So I guess project managers say planning, planning, planning. So
Yes.
what does planning afford an entrepreneur and a business owner? And what does it look like when no planning has happened?
I mean, I say planning, but it's more than planning. But I say that because you have to go in with a plan. You can't just be spontaneous. It just doesn't work. And the earlier the plan, the more successful you'll be. You can't just go in blindsided. Um,
And I always tell my clients, whether it's a residential, whether it's a commercial, whether it's, a CEO or CFO, the earlier you bring me on, or you bring anybody on to the team, the more successful you will be. Because then you have time to vet, then you have time to competitively bid a project and bring in the right team. And the key to success is getting the right people on your team. It's having the right time to accurately price and scope out your project.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you're telling me you want to be in your new space in 2 months, it takes, any project will
Takes 2
take
months just to plan the project, right?
exactly. So I'm going to look at you like you have 10 heads. So,
Yeah.
so
Now, in the world of construction and large construction, or even medium constructions, without that kind of plan, the impact of no planning is readily seen. I mean, yeah, you'll see the electrician bumping up against the concrete guy, and it's a mess, right?
it doesn't make for a good
In a
situation.
small business, however, the absence of planning isn't always so obvious.
Mhm.
How would you answer this question? If I'm an entrepreneur and I want to grow my company, how can I take the tenets of project management, planning specifically, accountability, and other things like that into account, even though I'm working all by myself?
Best practices. And, again, as an entrepreneur, you have to do your homework. You have to do your homework, and you've got to do your research. You've got to talk to people. I've been fortunate to have a very substantial network and talk to people. Talk to people. Don't assume that you know everything. Don't assume. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, you recently made the move from the corporate world
Absolutely.
to being an entrepreneur. And I imagine there was a lot of planning that took place.
There was a lot of planning and a lot of conversation, believe it or not. And I've talked to top executives, to peers, to clients, to down the line before I made this decision. And I got perspectives across the board.
Yeah. So if you pretend we're a fly on the wall and you're walking us through this journey that will chronicle the research, the planning, and the execution, how did that all flow?
Um, for me, and I'll just say this, for me, it was discovery, obviously. But it flowed really well. And it was, as you said before, well, it was actually finding myself, because sometimes you have to, you look in the mirror and you don't really see what people see, right? And for me, it was, wow, okay, I really can do this. And it was a reassurance that I can actually take this leap of faith. And people actually believe in me. And whereas I was sometimes doubting myself, this is possible. Okay, I can do this. And I actually have people backing me up on this. So, you have, and somebody once told me, and I was making a transition once upon a time, and someone who I had not met in person in a very long time, came to me and said, and this is someone who was an executive actually, said to me, Sabine, your brand precedes you. And I sat and I just took a step back, and I like, wow. I never met this person. I knew of him. I knew how powerful this person was in our community. And he literally said, your brand, your expertise, your name preceded me. And he had no qualms of giving me a recommendation, hiring me, etc. And that spoke volumes to me. And I tell this to people is that you have to make sure your brand stays intact. And so during this journey of discovering myself, I kept saying to myself, Sabine, your brand stands alone. No matter what happens, your brand needs to stay intact. So as an entrepreneur, that's what I want to make sure that I still maintain, is that my brand stays my brand.
Yeah. And when you say brand, a whole world gets caught up. What is the Enibas brand? And how do you go about, given that Enibas isn't, even though Enibas is its own entity, Sabine comes along with it. So when you talk about protecting the brand, what do you mean by that? And then what is the brand, Sabine or Enibas? When we meet the brand, what do we meet?
You meet, well, let me back up. So for me in particular, I chose the name Enibas specifically because of my brand. And for those of you who don't know, Enibas is my name spelled backwards. And that's how strongly I feel about my brand. And so I want to make sure that when someone sees my name, forward, backwards, they understand you're getting the best version of me. You're getting a representation that is going to be 110%, 200% backing you up and representing you in your project.
Yeah.
Bar none.
Bar none. And if you were to bottle up the brand in one phrase, what is your phrase?
I am your partner in success 100%.
100%. Yeah. And so given all of that, you've told us about planning, you've told us about the preservation of the brand. Given that project management, and I firmly believe that myself, is the engine that pushes any organization forward. 2 or 3 best practices to leave our entrepreneurs with, such that even though they're not project managers themselves, they can actually use project management in that way as an engine to push their businesses forward.
We know obviously processes. That's important. And when project management, that, and planning is important, but processes is very important. You can't do anything without a process. You can't, it's like you can't have the cart before the horse, right? It has to flow. So you can't, it's like the chicken and the egg, which one comes first? So there are certain things that has to come first before you chronologically go forward. So you need to know you need to know your stuff. That's first and foremost. I tell people you need to do your homework, so you need to know how long things take. When you're talking to a client, you can't, I say when clients say, well, can I build this in a month? No. Can you build a building in 2 months? No, you can't. And so
Physically impossible.
It's impossible, and so you need to know those things so that, again, it's process, it's tools. You know how to build a schedule. You need to know what things cost. You need to know what the current state of lead times are. We're out of the pandemic. However, there's still things that are taking very long to arrive on sites, and you've got labor shortages, you've got all kinds of things. So you need to keep up with that. You need to be able to know what the current climate is. The stock market affects the costs. Labor, like I said, depending on which part of the country, which part of the world you're working in, that will also affect. So again, you need to be up on all of those things. So again, best practices, you play a very huge part of being a project manager. Accountability is also extremely, extremely important. And part of my job is, as I said, prior was I herd cats. I hate to say that, but it's true. I have to keep everyone in line. I have to make sure the architect is doing their work properly and on time. The general contractor is doing their work and on time. The FF&E, which is furniture, finishings, and equipment, they're doing their things on time because it's a sequence. It's a cadence, and it has to be on beat. It's like music. Everything has to be flow in sequence so that we have a harmony. And so all has to be, it has to work together. And we're all in this together. We're not
And as
fighting,
the project
competing.
manager, you're the
I'm the orchestra lead. Exactly. I'm making it all
right?
in harmony. And so it all has to flow. And so
Yeah.
you have to be accountable yourself, and you have to make everybody else accountable as well.
So as you're painting that picture, I'm seeing every entrepreneur standing in front of
An orchestra, yeah.
an orchestra, right? Because for you as a project manager who leads large construction projects, you've got teams and teams of people, the contractors, the electricians, the plumbers, you name it, right? In the same fashion, an entrepreneur who's working with a small team or by herself is still leading an orchestra. So I think the message that's shining through inside of this context question for today, which is how can projects succeed and project teams triumph with limited time and expertise? And as an entrepreneur, you'll always be in a space where you don't have enough time.
That's right.
And you think you have to do everything by yourself. So limited expertise. And the best practices of project management can and do make a difference every time.
Every time.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, Sabine, planning, planning, planning. Do not do anything in your business without a plan.
Absolutely.
The second one, accountability.
Yes. Yes.
Do what you say you're going to do and hold others accountable to do the same.
100%.
Now, there's one last one you talked to me about yesterday. You said fun. And for the life of me, I said to myself, wait a minute, how does fun come into the picture here? Tell us a little bit about that.
So anybody who's been on my team, they can tell you, I am a worker bee. I work around the clock, but I also have fun on my projects. And that's just my style. I make sure the teams that I put together are appropriate based on the client. I am client focused 100%. But I also know that each client has a different personality, has a different way of working, has a different, each client is extremely, and each, whether it's a residential or a corporate client, their style is different, their culture is different. So I base my teams based on that. So I read the client based on that. So needless to say, when I put a general contractor who's going to be at their office for 6 months or 6 years, I build their team based on that. So when we are meeting on site, when we are meeting in their boardroom or we're meeting in their cafeteria, we are sitting there at lunchtime. We are cracking jokes. We are having fun because listen, we are there most of the time for hours on end. And the more we can do that and become friends and we know how each other works, the better the project will be. And so when problems arise, guess what? We can solve them together. We are not at each other's throats. We are not blaming each other. We are not attacking each other. We can literally solve any kinds of problems. Again, in harmony.
The orchestra sings in harmony. Time flies on the Daily Huddle, Sabine. It's about 25, 26 after, and I want to see if anyone in our studio audience has a question for you or comment for you. Gio, are you here?
Yep, I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here, Sabine.
Thank
You
you.
for taking a moment. Well, I was actually wondering as you guys were speaking, one question, and given the journey of your life and that extent in a few decades, like you said, and as you have been supporting different teams and different companies, helping them grow, and now you're supporting your own. What has been, in your view, the biggest challenge that you've had to triumph to achieve success for yourself? Not for others, but for yourself.
Good question. Good question. And I spoke to Sorrel about this yesterday. My biggest challenge in my entire career, and I actually face this daily, is probably what the obvious is that I am a woman in construction, I am Black, and I am from the Caribbean, from Haiti in particular. And those three things are extremely rare in my industry. And so if I'm on the phone, really most people don't realize what I am. But when I walk into a boardroom, when I walk into a construction site, I get like oh. So being challenged, being questioned, being dismissed, being overlooked, those are probably throughout my entire career has been a challenge. But you know what? I use those as pillars for me to overcome, and I don't quit. I use those as lessons learned, and I just completely, I forge forward and use them as, you know what, this is another one that I've just got to overcome, and let's go move. I pivot and keep on moving. Does that answer? Hopefully that answered. I'm sorry.
Courage. I'm saying it takes courage. It takes resilience, whoever you are. Thank you for highlighting your challenges in that way.
Yeah, thank you.
I appreciate your vulnerability. Thank you for that question, Gio. Dr. Davis, please.
Yes, hello. Greetings, everyone. Thank you so much, Sabine, for sharing your experiences. In fact, I wasn't expecting this to be the topic today, but your message of the importance of planning was right on time in terms of what I needed to hear for moving my small business forward. So I just wanted to thank you for that. And also, in terms of being a Black woman who exudes excellence and feels dismissed sometimes, I wanted to share with you a quote by Zora Neale Hurston that I thought would be encouraging. And Zora Neale Hurston, great novelist, great early researcher, who's quite well known. Zora Neale Hurston said, "Sometimes I feel discriminated against, but it does not make me angry. It merely astonishes me. How can any deny themselves the pleasure of my company? It's beyond me."
I love it.
I love it.
Love it.
Dr. Davis, would you put that in
Yes,
the
please. Please. I'm going to use that one and say that as a mantra.
Well,
maybe if you put your email address in the chat, I can email you.
Sure.
It comes with a picture of her too.
Oh, most definitely. I will do that right now.
All right, Sabine. Well, the time is here. It's 9:31, and you've graced us with your expertise, your generosity, and your love for your work, and your love and respect for your client. Assume this is not your last word, but the last word for the day. If you were going to say one thing, one more thing, what would it be?
Blessed.
Blessed.
Mhm.
May I add one to it? Authentic.
Authentic.
Yeah.
Yes. All the
And
way around.
if you were going to say something about authenticity, about what it is for you and what matters for growth in entrepreneurship and in business, what would you say?
Be who you are. Be true to yourself.
Yeah. Well, we'll end on that note, folks. Today's Friday. Our next episode will be on Monday. My name is Sorel Ketan. I am the host for today, along with my friend Giovanni Gonzalez. We are the co-founders of the Daily Huddle and co-hosts of Fridays. We have many friends who love you just as much as we do. They're here Monday through Thursday, so please tune in. Drop us a like, share the link, invite your friends, invite your family members. For this family called the Daily Huddle is all about love. We're all about stressing less. We're all about eating just the right thing to power this temple so we can continue to make a difference. We're all about laughing like crazy. Like you say, Sabine, if it's not fun, why do it? We're all about giving. Many of you are here just because you want to. And we, the hosts, are here just because we want to, for the contribution of it all. So give, sleep. I'm starting to develop a few bags under my eyes, and every time I sleep longer, some of them disappear. So sleep, get some rest, and move your body, get some exercise, even if it's just walking. And last but not least, we are masters of making assumptions and masters of running with those assumptions. So check your assumptions before you leap. I'll see you next Friday, very likely though on Monday. Join us here on the Daily Huddle, your home, your place. Have a great weekend.
Love me some project management, Sabine.
I know.